She grabbed my service dog's vest and yanked right there in the middle of the HOA meeting in front of everyone. That was the moment everything stopped. My neighbors gasped, my heart slammed against my ribs, and I knew this wasn't just about some ridiculous HOA rule anymore. This was about me, my dog, and whether or not I was going to let someone in power treat us like we didn't matter. I should back up. My name's Cole. I'm a veteran, and like a lot of guys who came back, I didn't leave the war entirely behind. Panic attacks follow me around like shadows. My lifeline, my anchor is Max, my golden retriever. 90 pounds of calm loyalty with a vest that says in big bold letters, "Service animal do not pet." Max doesn't just keep me steady, he keeps me functioning. And by law, he's allowed anywhere I go, including the community center at Oak Ridge Meadows, where our HOA holds their endless meetings. Now, Oak Ridge Meadows looks picture perfect on the surface. Neat lawns, a little pond with ducks. Neighbors who wave just enough to look friendly. But peel back the paint and you'll find the HOA run by Meredith Vaughn. Meredith was the type of woman you could hear before you saw sharp heels, sharper voice, dyed blonde hair, styled like a helmet. She thrived on control. People whispered Karen behind her back, but not too loudly because Meredith had a way of making life hell for anyone who crossed her. That night's meeting was supposed to be about landscaping budgets. I came in early, found a seat at the end of the second row, Max curled beside me like he always does. He had his vest on head down, not bothering anyone. I'd paid the required fee for the community space, filed paperwork, everything. Then Meredith spotted us. Her heels clicked like gunshots as she marched straight over. "What is that doing on a chair?" she snapped, stabbing a red lacquered nail toward Max. I kept my voice calm, steady, the way you talk to someone holding a live grenade. "He's a service dog, ma'am. He's allowed a seat. I have the paperwork." I held up the documents. I always carry proof under the ADA. She didn't even glance. "This is a community seat. For residents, for children. Not for an animal." "Not an animal," I said quietly. "A medical device with a heartbeat. He has his place." By then, people were watching. A couple of neighbors shifted uncomfortably. One older man muttered, "Leave him be, Meredith." Another mom whispered, "Service dogs are protected by law." But Meredith didn't care about law. She cared about control. She folded her arms loud enough for the room. "This is unacceptable. That dog can sit on the floor like the rest of the pets." I swallowed the anger bubbling in my chest. Max couldn't sit on the floor without blocking the aisle, which would break fire code. That's why the seat was necessary. I explained this slowly, carefully. She rolled her eyes. "Oh, please, regulations, regulations. You're endangering this community with your mutt." The meeting spiraled from there. She kept raising her voice, circling the same argument, trying to paint me as selfish. And I started to doubt myself. Maybe I was making life harder for everyone. Maybe if I just put Max under the chair, she'd back off. But one look at him, head resting on my boot-steady brown eyes, locked on me, and I remembered why I couldn't give in. He wasn't a burden. He was the reason I was still able to sit in a room like this at all. Then Meredith pulled her next stunt. She gasped, clutched her chest dramatically. "I'm allergic. His fur. It's choking me." Her voice cracked into this exaggerated wheeze. Some neighbors looked alarmed. Others rolled their eyes, but the damage was done. "If you don't remove him, I'll have to call emergency services," she declared. For a second I froze. Allergies are serious, except this was theater. She wanted me out, and she knew playing the victim might rally sympathy. And it worked, at least for a moment. One woman whispered, "Maybe you should step outside just to be safe." My ears burned. My chest tightened. Was I really going to be kicked out because someone decided to fake a medical condition? The worst part wasn't even her words. It was the email that went out the next morning. She blasted the entire HOA mailing list. "New resident brings dangerous animal to meeting, threatens children, refuses to follow rules." Attached was a blurry picture of Max, mid-yawn, teeth showing. She labeled it, "Look at the fangs on this beast." By noon, it was on the community Facebook group. People I hadn't even met were commenting, "Keep that dog away from our kids. HOA needs to ban him." That broke me. I sat on my couch, staring at Max, thinking maybe I'd made a mistake moving here. Maybe I should just stop going to meetings, keep my head down, let them win. The shame and doubt sank in heavy. I actually asked myself, am I the problem? And that's when my phone buzzed. A neighbor, someone I barely knew, sent me a video from the meeting. Grainy, shaky, but clear enough. Meredith reaching over, grabbing Max's vest, yanking hard. Max, startled, looked at me but stayed calm. The video caught every second. I replayed it a dozen times. The anger built with each loop. She hadn't just lied, she'd crossed a line. That vest handle wasn't decoration. It was equipment Max used to help me keep balance when panic or dizziness hit. Her grabbing it was like ripping a cane out from under someone walking. I called my brother Mark, a lawyer. He listened quiet, then said, "Cole, don't yell. Don't argue online. Facts win. Law wins. And you've got both. We'll take this to the HOA and if needed beyond. But you're not backing down." That flipped the switch inside me. I wasn't going to run. Not this time. The next HOA meeting was packed. Word had spread, people smelled drama. Meredith sat at the front in her red blazer, arms crossed, smirk painted on her face. I walked in with Max at my side, calm and steady, and Mark carrying a manila folder thick with paperwork. When the floor opened, I stood. My hands trembled, but my voice held. I purchased this seat. I followed every law, every rule. And yet your president here tried to humiliate me, spread lies, and even physically interfered with my service dog. Murmurs filled the room. Meredith jumped up. "That's slander. He's dangerous. He lunged at my child." Mark raised a hand. "Let's check the evidence." He plugged a laptop into the projector. The screen lit up shaky footage. There it was. Meredith's hand darting out, fingers clutching the vest handle, pulling hard. Gasps rippled across the room. "This," Mark said, pointing, "is the equivalent of tampering with medical equipment. It's illegal under state and federal law." Meredith stammered, tried to pivot. I was just protecting the children." A city official sitting in the back stood. "What I see is a violation. The ADA is clear. Service animals are protected. This behavior is unacceptable." The tide turned in an instant. Neighbors who had stayed silent before now spoke up. "She lied about allergies. She doctored that picture. She's been bullying people for years." Meredith's face flushed crimson. She sputtered, "You can't do this to me. I'm the president." But her power was gone. The HOA board called an emergency vote right then and there. Hands went up around the room, one after another. The decision: Meredith Vaughn was removed as president, fined for misconduct, and barred from holding office in the HOA for a year. She stood frozen, fists clenched, lip trembling. No one clapped. No one cheered. We just watched as the woman who thought she could bend the rules finally cracked under the weight of the truth. She stormed out, heels echoing against the tile like retreating gunfire. I sat back down. Max placed his head on my knee, warm and steady like always. I scratched behind his ears, my chest finally easing. And I realized something in that silence. You don't beat people like Meredith by yelling louder. You beat them by standing steady, by collecting the facts, by letting the truth do the heavy lifting. The lesson: pay for your own seat. Keep your hands to yourself. And never ever mess with a service dog.